Well, I was afraid this would happen. I'm Bonnie Claire. This is my channel here for Lit, where we talk all about books. And we're in summer break, and it's been hard to find time to film. So, for a little while, I think what I'll do is I'll have a video just recapping the books I've read since the last video. I've actually, since the last video, read 17 books. But before you're too impressed, half of them are Goosebumps. We'll get into that. We'll just jump right in. So I did finish The Outsiders. That was one of my 40 before 40 books. I've been trying to do one a month, but I don't know. We're halfway through June and it's not happening. The Outsiders is by S.E. Hinton, and it takes place in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and it follows these group of boys in the gang, the Greasers. One of them, the main character, is raised by his two brothers, and it kind of follows the brotherhood that they have in their Greasers gang and the conflict that they have with the other gang, the Socs. And I don't want to spoil anything, but it was heart-wrenching, and I recommend it. It's a short, quick read. I'm so glad I read that one. I love that one. The next I read, I don't read a lot of parenting books, but I was intrigued when I saw this one at the library. It's called Hunt, Gather, Parent. I was really intrigued by the concept. It was a researcher was going around to remote communities and kind of studying how they parent. And there were some really good insights and tips. But then when the author kind of applied it to her own, I feel like it kind of got lost. I liked the concept, but not the application. If you're into parenting books, you might try that one. Okay, the next was a short story by John Steinbeck, The Pearl. Wow, that's a tragic story. I have on my 40 before 40, I think 2 Steinbeck books, because I haven't read Grapes of Wrath or East of Eden. I forgot how tragic the ending is. It's so tragic. But it is just kind of a commentary on greed. It's about a man. He's a poor fisherman. He finds a pearl, the biggest pearl ever. And of course, everybody wants it. People start trying to steal it from him or to kind of swindle him. Anyway, it just leads to a series of terrible, terrible events. And I guess that's the point of the story, but man, it was sad. For my book group, we had to read A Town Like Alice by Neville Shute. I had it in as a kind of counts as my world reads for Australia, but I had forgotten how much of it does not take place in Australia. So it's about a woman who was captured during World War II and marches around the Malayan jungle with this group of women. And during her captivity, she meets an Australian soldier. And so that's where their friendship begins. And then he really makes a big impression on her. I don't want to spoil it at all, but just through his generosity. After the war, she comes into some money and she decides that she wants to go back to Malaya and kind of repay the people who helped her, and then also go see Australia. It's a great story. I don't want to spoil. We read it for book group. It's kind of an older book, so what I tell people is just get through that first chapter. That first chapter is dull, but then it's a great story. So, oops, I just kicked that. The next one I read was a library book, so it's long gone. Is Gone to the Woods by the guy who wrote Hatchet. His name is escaping me right now. Gary Paulsen. It's a memoir that he wrote for a younger audience, though some of the content, like, he had a tough childhood. It was not what I was expecting, but I still liked it. The thing is, with like a real life, you're like, you want this ending, you want this happy ending, but it's a real person's life. So it's really just their experiences. And he had a tough one. He had a tough life. So interesting though. So I love the book The Hatchet. I consider it a must read for young children. So it's interesting how some really early experiences that he got to have, you know, out in nature in the woods, just was ingrained in him that he wanted to write an adventure story about that, a survival story. Okay, the next one's The Lost Bookshop, which, you know, books about books and bookshops are intriguing to me. And so I loved the concept of this book. It's about this mysterious bookshop that some characters have found themselves in, and then they walk back out onto the street and they turn around and it's gone. So it's some magical little place in the world that appears when you need it. But my thing with this book is it was trying to do way too much. Like, it's hard to even explain because there were too many magical elements. I think if it was just edited, it could have been a lot better, but there was way too much going on. First of all, it's two parallel stories in time, so you're jumping in time, and then there's some magical elements with the bookstore and then magical elements with the character. Like, I kept forgetting that this one character kind of had this magical power because it wasn't really a core part of the story. It would just come up every now and then. So, I don't know. Kind of ended up being a miss for me. It was just too much. In all fairness, this was a book I was reading at night. Those ones sometimes get ranked lower in my head because they're hard to follow because I keep falling asleep. This one, there's been a lot of hype. I had actually never heard of this book, but then for my family book group, we were reading it. And then I saw it everywhere. I loved it. I loved it up to a certain point that I won't spoil. And then I really didn't. I really hated the ending. I really hated the ending. I love the core concept of really looking at people and seeing them for who they are, getting to know them, giving them the time to get to know them before you're making snap judgments. Because that's kind of the point in some ways. There's this man, he comes to this small town, Golden, and in a coffee shop, there are portraits of all these people, and he decides one at a time to buy the portrait and give it to the person who it's a portrait of. And as he meets them, he tells them, kind of what he sees in their face, in their portrait, and gets to know them. And so some beautiful friendships form. There were some just good nuggets of wisdom. It was just a slow, sweet, thought-provoking novel, and then it kind of got too action-y at the end, we'll say. The end killed it. The end just killed it for me. Otherwise, I really loved that book. It's from my 40 Before 40, and it's a Read the World book for Nigeria. This is Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe. It's another one that I think high schoolers read here, maybe. I work with some teenagers, and so I like to ask them what they have to read for school, and The Outsiders was one, and this was one. This one, I was thinking it was really going to be about European colonization in Africa and how that impacted this tribe, but it was really, that certainly happens, but that's towards the end. It's really about this one man's experience as he kind of falls from respected leader of the tribe to outcast to then having this conflict with the white missionaries and colonists coming in and they're kind of pulling in some people into their way of thinking, so disrupting the tribe for that way. It's another very sad book, but really good. I think it was really significant to give the Africans' point of view because we've heard all about the colonization. And then the last of my more serious adulty books, until we get into the kids stuff, was this one, also on my 40 Before 40. I love Agatha Christie so much. So I'd never read The Murder of Roger Ackroyd. This is a Hercule Poirot story. It's just a good old whodunit. We have all the pieces of the puzzle coming into place, trying to figure out who did what. You eliminate suspects along the way. I read a lot of her short stories, the Miss Marple and the Hercule Poirot ones, but I haven't read a lot of her novels. So that's something I want to work through. So that's why I put this on my 40 Before 40, so I could get at least one. But I really enjoyed this book. The last ones were, I'm hearing all about people's 90s summers and what that looks like for them. For me, it was going to the library, getting my children's books like Goosebumps and whatnot, and reading those in an afternoon or two. So I've been doing that. Also, I've been reading the American Girl books. That was also from my childhood. And I want to read Samantha's story. They're writing her as an adult, as a suffragette. And so I thought it'd be fun to go through. There's my cuckoo clock, just just a minute. Oh, we're done with the cuckoos. Okay. Anyway, I thought it'd be fun to read at least the like meet Molly, meet Josefina, meet Samantha, all those again. So I'd read 2 last time I filmed. And then I read 3 more. Molly, Josefina, Samantha, the ones I just said. And Molly's story was silly to me. I mean, because some of them, they're big deal stories, like Kirsten's crossing the Atlantic and people get sick and die. Molly's is just like a little Halloween prank. Like Josefina's story, I love her story. Hers is a lot more deep, I guess. So it's just funny to me how some of them are very light and some of them are really actually kind of heavy topics. I always liked Samantha because I liked her dresses. I don't know if I'm gonna really read all the American Girl stories, but it's been kind of fun to refresh what their stories are. The Addie series was absolutely my favorite. Okay, Goosebumps. Goosebumps makes me so happy. I need books that make me happy. This is what kind of started my love for spooky stories. And so I've been going through trying to read them in order, but also based on what I get at the library. And so I started with Welcome to Dead House, which is a great little haunted house story, or maybe haunted town. And I forget that a lot of the times in the Goosebumps books, the animals either go missing or are harmed or die. So just know that if there's a pet in the story, it might not make it. Next was Stay Out of the Basement, which is about botany. Their dad's a scientist and had some experiments that go wrong that are locked up in the basement. And Monster Blood was next. That one was about this mysterious jar of goop. I just picture the slime because the slime is of the devil. How it mysteriously grows and takes over. It's just slime. It's just slime. If someone sends home slime in a goodie bag from a party, they don't like you. Let's say Cheese and Die. I actually loved this one. I think it's one of the better. And it's this camera that will take a Polaroid. And when you look at it, it's not the picture you took. It's actually of something that's going to happen and not a good thing. That was cool. And the last one I read, out of order. I am reading The Curse of the Mummy's Tomb now. That's the next one in order. But I got this one at the library, Deep Trouble. As a kid, I was like, yes, a shark story. And then I forgot what it was about. And so as an adult, I'm like, is there a shark story that I forgot about? Because I want a shark story. And it's not about sharks. There is one scene with a hammerhead shark. Misleading cover. Very disappointing. It's not about sharks. It's about mermaids. Still a good story, but always disappointed that it's not about sharks. Again and again and again. So I've read a good amount of things. I'm trying to keep it light. I'm in school right now, just an online class, and that's using all the good brain power, so there's not much left for deep reading right now. And I'm having the time of my life on my 90s summer reading my Goosebumps books. So next video might just be 50 Goosebumps. We'll see. But whenever that is, till next time, I will just see you whenever. Thank you for watching.